Hello and welcome to my JSL11 project presentation. I'm going to be walking through my Kanban application as well as the code to create it. So just to display the functionality, we have our boards over here, launch, career and roadmap, and we can see as we click between them our tasks that are assigned to each board are reflected live. We also have full functionality of the light and dark mode, as well as the hide and show for the sidebar. Additionally, we can add new tasks such as learn everything for a good salary and set that to doing, and we see here it's reflected. Additionally, we have full functionality for editing the tasks that we have created. As such, I can set this task to done, save the changes, and you will notice it is in the done category now. It is also not reflected in roadmap, which shows that these tasks pay respect to which board they are a part of. Additionally, I can delete this task if I so wish, and now it is gone. The code to create this project was intense, and it required us to remember all of what we have covered so far with the course. This is representative with the functional design of the project, which is very reflective of React. So it's good that we got this practice before we tackle React. So to go through the code of the program, first we import helper functions from taskfunctions.js, and these functions will be called multiple times within our other functions to manipulate task data. We also have a function, initialize data. This will check if there already are tasks within our local storage, and if there are none, it will then pull the tasks from the initial data so that there's something to be reflected on the boards. Elements below will just define all of the elements we would like to access with from the DOM. This is to pay respect to dry principles so we don't repeat ourselves later. We also have our fetch and display boards and tasks function, which will grab the tasks as well as look into the tasks and see what boards exist and set them up to be configured by other functions later. One of these functions is display boards, which will grab the boards and go through them, setting up the HTML for each board that exists. We also have our filter and display tasks by board function, which takes the board name as an argument. It will create a filtered tasks array where we filter for the task board to be equal to the board name we've passed in as an argument. We will then create columns for each of the statuses that exist within our tasks that we filtered, and then we will additionally assign those tasks to their respective columns as per their respective statuses. The refresh tasks UI function calls the filter and display tasks by board function, passing in the active board as an argument. So whenever we click on a different board, only those tasks that pay respect to that board will be displayed. The style active board function also will be called whenever we click on a different board, thus meaning that that button will now be highlighted. Our add task to UI function takes a task as an argument and looks for the respective column that that task would belong to by the task status. It will then look for the tasks container within that column to assign the task to that container. It will then style the task as needed, applying the necessary HTML and classes, and append it to the tasks container. Our setup event listeners function is where we set up all of the event listeners that are on the elements that we would like to be interacting with on the DOM. In some of the event listeners, I was using arrow functions to pass in other functions that I needed to pass in along with the respective arguments that needed to be passed into those functions. So this was a good exercise in remembering callback functions and the usefulness of callback functions. Our toggle modal function will toggle the modal as it is clicked back and forth between being displayed and not being displayed. Our add task function will grab all of the user inputs when we have defined a new task, and it will then call the create new task function, passing in that task object for that new task to be created and then later added to the DOM. Toggle sidebar toggles the sidebar on or off on click, and toggle theme switches the display between light mode and dark mode. Open task modal is called when we want to edit one of our tasks, grabbing the values that we have inputted, and then it calls the function to save, cancel, or delete that task, depending on which button is clicked. Save task changes is called, again, grabbing the elements we have inputted and calling the necessary functions to update that task. And finally, we have our initialization, which is called upon opening of the application, setting up the initial start of the application. Thank you for watching my presentation.